Testing, testing, testing. All right, here we go. So many warnings. Okay, so I don't know if this is a good way to live stream, but whatever. So the problem that I'm dealing with today is that I don't like how the import situation in hooks is. So every single time so let's say I do this, right? Let's say I export all of this and I destructure from use ref, use state, use effects like that, right? And then let's say stuff moves around and I no longer uh, need this, right? Um, and I accidentally leave it here. That is going to cause a lot of warnings like this: defined but something that you exported is defined but never used, and that makes sense. Um, so then I started doing stuff like this where I just did react dot use ref react dot use state, and that's a lot of typing, um, and that seems unnecessary. So this is the kind of thing where a Babel plugin that you're intimately familiar with and is very tightly scoped can save some refactoring and um, minor, I guess, annoyances. So I figured this would be a good lesson to write a Babel plugin. It's a good introduction. Ideally, what I want to do is I just want, just like JSX transforms into React.create element, and you have to import React at the top for of all of your React files. Um, that's how you should be thinking about. Um, yeah, that's how you should be thinking about this. Like, I want to use hooks without importing explicitly, and just by the fact of React being there, I can use these standard hook names, which I promise myself I will never overwrite. And that's what I'm aiming to do. Um, by the way, I don't know if like anyone's tuning in. This is my first. I'm like not good at this. How do I? Hello world. Okay. I don't expect anyone to tune in. I'm just kind of talking to myself, and hopefully people can view this asynchronously. But I'll check in a bit in case some people actually do. Anyway, so that's the problem area, right? I want all these to automatically be rewritten to use React dot whatever. So essentially, what that means is I'm going to take all the hooks from um, from the API list and write a Babel plugin that adds React dot whatever to them, right? So there's not that many. But I figure this is a really good use case for learning how to write a Babel plugin. I think that it was very helpful for me when I did it, and I would recommend people do it. Let's see. So let's get started. Okay, so uh, this is AST Explorer, and essentially, this is the authoring platform for Babel. I should probably explain the interface because I'm kind of used to it by now. Um, but essentially, this is source code, okay, and then this is before and this is after, right? So I start here and here, and then in between, these are the two panels where you really start digging into the AST. So if you click anywhere within here, it's going to navigate to that part of the AST is abstract syntax tree. And I've enabled the Babel transform. There's all these other kinds of ASTs that you can enable. But for Babel, this is the only one that we care about, which is convenient for me because I don't know anything else. So each of these things have names, have specific names in Babel, which is funny enough corresponding to how they actually are identified in the ECMAScript specification, which is really cool, but also like super super detailed. There's all these kinds of nuances that you get into when thinking about this. But this tool, by like being so responsive and you know just hovering over stuff, you can tell what's going on. This tool helps you learn what each of the tools mean, and that's pretty cool in and of itself. So you take this AST of the source code, right? So Babel takes the source code, transforms it into an AST, then it runs this Babel JavaScript function over this AST, produces a new AST, and then recompiles that back into source code. And that's Babel, right? It's just that over and over and over again for your entire uh, JavaScript app. Um, so this is a very simple one that they give you by default, which is really great. Like I mean, like Felix, who wrote AST Explorer, is amazing. And the source code, I like. It's a pleasure to read. I highly recommend reading that as well. Anyway, so this is a simple JavaScript file, right? And we're applying this simple Babel transform to this file. And this file, what it does is it uses the visitor pattern. It looks for identifiers. So this is an identifier, right? This is an identifier, right? This is also an identifier, even though it's an array method, and that's something that I particularly dislike about about Babel, and that's what I introduced with Babel Blade. Anyway, it looks for all identifiers, it grabs the path, and it says path.node.name equals path.node.name.split, just splits them all into an array, reverse, and then rejoin. So it just reverses the strings, right? So print tips becomes spit nerp, and tips become spit, and so on and so forth. You can see all the reversals going on over here. So that's a really fun, simple example. I should pause and kind of also say that Babel plugin handbook. This is the sort of canonical source of how you learn to write a Babel plugin, and how you learn what the patterns are, what the visitor pattern is. This is the key part, and then what some of the advice of visiting nodes, manipulating nodes, and checking the scope of nodes, as well as best practices. So unfortunately, this is like 1 year old, I think it's like 2 3 years old. And like I think it's due for an update, as well as a sort of transference and ownership to the Babel organization. But it's still a really good read. It took me a while to get through it. But what we're gonna do, I'm not gonna assume any knowledge. I'm just gonna sort of give you a gentle introduction, and then you can actually go try it out for yourself. Okay, that was a lot of prelude. So let's actually get into it. And so what's a really simple example? Let's have a really like stripped down example of stuff, and let's just clear this out, and then React, blah blah blah. Don't care. So having basically this like is kind of a ripple, right? Like you start here and you end here. You can see your results forming. So the basic test case that I want to use is the basic test case, let's just like start simple, right? So let's have something like this, and then I'm going to say this set state, and then return div state, whatever. I don't care. So this is how a typical, like, this is how I want to use my Babel plugin, assuming it exists, right? And my goal is to transform the source code from this doesn't compile, right? Because use state is not a globally defined function or anything. I need to transform this into that, where react.useState is added. And so all I have given is this visitor pattern. I'm just gonna give a random name to it. It says it's not required. I actually don't know what the field is, but whatever. React hooks Babel plugin, just for fun. Why not? And the main thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna use the identifier, right, and look for something called useState over here, and it should, and then we should check that it looks like um, it is a call expression. So just because something's an identifier, we don't really know if it's a function or if it's a variable name. This is also an identifier. Basically, it's just like a thing that you write on the screen. And what it means semantically depends on what it's nested inside of. So here it's an array pattern. Array patterns have elements inside them. These elements has an array of size of 2, and each of them has an identifier, and the identifier is state. So this is an AST, right? There's no sort of semantic meaning saying that, hey, this is a variable, right? But we just have to like assume, we have to like sort of realize it just from this context of it being inside of an array pattern. So similarly, if I were to call, if I were to do something like this, let's say I have like window.useState, right? This is clearly not react.useState. This is window.useState, but this would still be an identifier, right? And it'd still be, and it would be inside a member expression. So I need to exempt my my Babel plugin from working on something like this. I only care about something like this, where it's useState naked by itself, and it's inside a call expression, and that's about it. So this is what I'm trying. Wow, people are actually tweeting about. Hello, just see if there's anyone. Hi, thanks for tweeting about this. Okay, so anyway, so all right, I feel like I'm just doing too much prelude, and I'm just gonna get into it, and then we can talk about what that means. So let's oh, and then the last part of AST Explorer is the console, which like is kind of funny because it's not part of the AST Explorer experience, but it's very critical. So let's say we have the identifier, right? And this thing is currently reversing every single identifier. We need to exempt most of these guys, right? And only filter for the use state that we want. So let's console log this out and see what that gives us. So I'm going to console log. All right. So it's going to give us React, right? The first identifier, then timer, second identifier, state, third, set state, use state, state here, and that's it. So those are the only identifiers within here. This is not an identifier. This is a JSX identifier, which is fun. Geez. So yeah, there's like a lot of like if statements and like utility functions that you have to write to really account for all edge cases. But this example that we've picked is so simple that I can literally just do this, right? I can say if, oh, here. I can say if path.node.name equals useState, then and only then console log it out. And so here, I'm gonna have to make the screen smaller. Sorry for people with lower resolution screens. So now I'm only logging use state. So this code path is only executing for this use state pattern, right? So now let's and now we can see that here's now we're not doing any modifications. So here previously we were doing this reverse modification, and now we're not doing any because I commented it out. Now we're not doing any modifications, and so the output is the exact same as the input. So now we need to modify this node, right? Let's console log the node. Actually, let's console log the path. So there's a difference between a path and a node. So I highly recommend you being extreme, like you will mess up so much and you'll waste so much time if you don't know the difference between a path and a node. Get very, very extremely familiar with it. So a node is the stuff that you see in the AST. So it's stripped of any metadata and it's stripped of any Babel methods and prototypes and all the fancy stuff that you actually need. So the general advice is you stay on a path as much as possible until the very, very end when you have no choice, but you have to interact with a node. That's basically my advice. It's probably not universal, but it's good enough. So this is a node, right? Like I'm clicking on this node, okay? The AST Explorer is showing me this identifier. The node is this exact information. Starts at character 90, ends at character 98. The name is use state, right? The identifier is type. This is a node, right? And it's got a source map thing attached to it, which we don't really care about. Okay, so by the way, you can also hide location data if that's too noisy for you, but I usually don't bother. It's helpful because like sometimes you're looking at a lot of stuff to just look for the numbers and go like, all right, I'm looking for 90 to 98. Oh, that's the one I'm looking at. That's great. And that's exactly what I need. Anyway, so that's just a node, but there's all this other stuff which is useful, right? And that's the path properties. So you really lose all this if you just go for path.node. Instead, you should try to use path, because what path gives you is the container, so you can go up the chain, right? So I can go, this is my current path. I can go up the chain to the call expression, right? So my parent of, I'm currently in identifier use state, and I can go one level up to the call expression, and the call expression is the combination of the identifier here and the call, so which makes this identifier a function, right? So this whole thing is a call expression, and that's and then you can go all the way up from there and manipulate a bunch of stuff. So I think what I want to do, and then the last thing I should explain before I actually do anything. I'm sorry if like this is a lot of like prelude, but if you've never looked at Babel, you've never looked at AST Explorer, this is like absolutely necessary. Okay, so then the last thing that you want to do is also to look at the prototype. Yeah, I know, prototype, right? But here is where all the Babel magic comes in, and these functions are like the core of like manipulating Babel and being a Babel god. A lot of them are frankly useless assertions. Like if I wanted to know if something is a literal, is like this is useless, right? Like is identifier. Like I can just put an if statement. Like who cares? Why is this on the prototype? I don't know, but that's what Babel chose to do. But there's some other patterns like replace with is very key, and visit is very key. Traverse is another one. Where's traverse? I don't know where traverse is. But all these patterns, like some of them are not that useful, but you learn from the Babel handbook, which you want. So let's look at the traverse one. That's very, very useful. Yeah, path.traverse. That helps you traverse your children. Okay, so now this is the part where like I'm pretty much going to talk less and try to figure out what to modify. So essentially, I need to add react dot and then in front of a use state. So right now, I've narrowed it down to this use state, and now I have a path. And I need to add a parent, right? So, okay. So inside of here, okay. So one way to think about it, right, is that I can tweak this to the end result that I want, and then look at it, right? So right now, this is the end result that I want. I have a call expression, a member expression, and then an identifier. Right. This member expression is the new thing, where the object is the new thing. Is the new thing I insert, right? So basically, what my strategy is, I currently can arrive at this property, this use state identifier, right? And then the immediate parent is the call expression. So what I need to do is sub out this identity for a member expression and put the identity inside the member expression, and that's the idea. Sorry if that like is a little bit confusing. So this is the before. Crap. Sorry, this is the after that we want, and then let's look at the before. Right. So let's look at this like that. I use the screenshot technique to do side-by-side comparisons a lot, and I highly recommend it. It's pretty handy. So, right, so we have a call expression, and then we have an identifier, and in between we're inserting this member expression, and that's essentially the operation that we have to do. I'm kind of waffling a little bit just because like I'm trying to figure out what I should do next as I talk. Um, I think I should create a member expression, right? And I call it React dot. I don't exactly know how to do that. I think it's to do with types with this T function. So member expression. Unfortunately, you're not gonna. Oh, building nodes. There we go. Okay, there we go. So every one of these like AST node things has a builder, right? And a builder comes from the type. Um, Oh, look at this. Oh, this is fantastic. Look at this. Okay, um, so there we go. So it's exported for us by the sort of default template, and they rename it as T just by convention. And so now we do T identifier React. Let's just say. Um, let's just call this const new member expression. It doesn't really matter. And let's just call this okay, whatever. So now let's modify this thing. This is going to be the cool bit. I'm so happy you're here for this. Replace with new me. Ooh, look at that. So we've changed use state to react.property. So that's interesting, right? Like that's almost what we want. We just need to reflect use state into react.property, into property, and then we're done. So let's take react.identifier, and instead of putting in property over there, we'll just put ooh. Huh. Um, I'm not sure what this error is, so let's undo that. Because I thought you just give a string, and that should do it. Hmm. Okay. What about path.node? Property of member expression, expected node to be of type, identify a private name, but instead got member expression. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's put that back in and see what the error was again. I think I'm supposed to supply something else. Okay, let's do a really dumb thing and just say use state. How's that? That doesn't work. Property of member expression, expected node to be of type, identifier, private name. But instead got member expression. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me type that back in here. Da, 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 da. I wonder if anyone who's watching might have. Nope. Either you're yelling at me and I can't see it, or no one knows the answer to this. I think so. Here's where it starts to get really kind of gnarly. No, T identifier. Okay. All right. So what the hell? Okay, property. All right. Here is where you Google it. And we'll see what's going on. Now, identifier. So unfortunately, it's like stuff like this is common. Like I wouldn't say it's frequent, but you definitely run into like weird errors like this, and then you have to sort of figure it out. I do like to look at the definitions. So, for example, we're using the identifier definition. Well, no, not this one. Identifier. What is a private name? Yeah, I've seen the source code for the constructors before, so I need to try and figure out what that is. I'm not looking at the right chat. Sung says, "What chat should I be looking at?" This one? I'm not looking at the right chat. Sung says, "What chat should I be looking at?" This one? Okay. Hello. I'm not looking at the right chat. Sung says, "What chat should I be looking at?" Oh, okay. Hello. Hey. Okay, so I am stuck with this member expression thing. I'm pretty sure I can figure it out, but let me know if you know the answer. Hey, everyone. Okay, so right now, I should be able to do this. Like, it's so weird that I don't know what's going on. Okay, so wait, hang on. I've broken this somehow. Okay, I think I broke it in some weird way. And the only way for me to figure out what's going on, look at that. I'm such an idiot. I'm still not an idiot. Okay, it just specifically doesn't want me to type useState for some reason. Like, why? I can type anything I want except for useState. What the hell's going on? Interesting. Okay. Blah. Okay, so I need some identifier private. Okay, so does anyone know? Okay, I can pop out the chat and stop the video. I can pop out the chat. There we go. Oh. Hello. Awesome. All right. Sorry about that. Newbie over here. Okay, so we're doing something wrong with this. This sounds like, I mean, so I can probably do this seems like some sort of conflict, right, between path.node.name, where this expects this looks like a name conflict somehow, right? Like it just specifically doesn't want me to type that name. So I probably need to remove that path and then replace it. It is my current thinking. So remove. I can remove that path, or I can replace a parent. Right. I can remove a parent. I can insert into a container. Hmm. Insert a sibling node, replace a node with a source string. Oh, I could do that. Replacing a node with multiple nodes. Is that it? Oh. Okay, so if anyone knows, this would be a really good time to chime in because right now we are in bug hunt mode. Let's see, member expression again. So it says that we want to build an object property and computed. Da 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 da. That's what I tried, Sung. I tried use state. So I can literally type Sung Kim in here, right? And it would do that. Yeah, it would do that replication, and it's fine. It's obviously a conflict because I can type anything I want, like use reducer, use whatever, and then use state specifically. It doesn't like. So something is messing up. What do you mean nested? So let's see what's going on in there. Um, I've never had an issue with this. I don't know why. Like I've never run into like just because something exists in the tree, um, it like specifically is not touchable by me. It says yeah, nest the member expression within member expression. Um, why would I need to do that? Okay, let's see if I understand what you mean. So my goal is to go call expression, member expression, identifier, um, and I don't care about the arguments. Okay, so and then and that's where is this? Okay, so this is what I want, um, and then this is what I end up with is call expression, identifier. Uh, so like the callee is the member expression now, and then I have to move the object and property down. All right. So I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try to let's see. Okay, so right now I'm operating on this path, which is the use state path. This is like kind of um, low level. I need to go up. Let's say I go up to the parent, and I can if I go up to the parent. So I in the console log path dot parent path, and I'm gonna comment this out. So this is node path. And this current node is the parent, is the call expression, is the parent of where I ended up, right? So assuming I'm operating on the hypothesis, right, that I can swap out this callee for something else. So like replace a node, replacing a node. I mean, I should be able to replace with whatever I want. But it's just not happening. So that's something I need to figure out. Replacing a child node. Why can't I replace a child node? I can't replace a child node. Inserting into a container. Okay. All right. Um, so let's say I have this parent path and remove. Uh, so right now I'm working with this call expression, and I'm looking at identifier. No. Where is it again? So I'm working with this call expression, and I'm trying to swap out this callee as much as I can. Um, hmm, identifier callee. Okay. So parent path dot. I mean, why would I want to? Okay. Let's see. Unrehensible. Rehensible. I could insert. Could I insert a source string? No, this is not. This is not the right um, method. Placing a node, replace with. Okay. Yeah. All right. Screw it. So we're going to replace with this whole thing. Replace with, and then new call expression. And now we're going to have to build the new call expression. And we'll give it whatever they need. P.call expression. Yeah, I'm a singer. I'm worried about the call expression. Okay, so I probably have to save some things. So path dot parent path node. Let's console log this out again. So I probably have to save the arguments, and I probably have to save, and I can throw away the callee because I'm going to replace this callee with something else. So that's my current hypothesis that the conflict in the use state is causing my my problems. Okay, so blah blah blah. And what is the pattern for this call expression again? I need an expression. I need the arguments. So let's get the arguments. So parent path. There's this API called get, which you have to do if you want to preserve the path. And let's console log that out just to show you what it does. So this is specifically the numeric literal that is inside the set state. So that's the node that we're looking at, and it's inside this arguments thing. There's only one of them, but this is an array. So I'm hoping to reuse this because I'm gonna have to reuse whatever people pass in there, and so I need to reconstitute the call expression. Blah blah blah. So I have the arguments. I need a callee, and then I'm done. So the new callee. So the new callee is a member expression with React and use state. So I can reuse this thing, hopefully. And now, hopefully you can see like I'm building up the things that I need for my. Although something I don't like about this is that I have a path here, and then I have a just a raw node here, which is probably something we don't want, and that's a problem. So I might in fact do this. All right, I may be wrong on this, so I'm commenting it out, and we can revert it later. But we're gonna do node.arguments, and that will give us just the pure nodes, and hopefully that will be the types that they need for the to make the call expression. Um, we'll see. Okay, so la 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 la. La. So my assertion is that new call expression over here needs args and new args. Um, uh, expected node to be of type expression. Why is it getting undefined? Okay, so it probably is not my fault that I'm okay. So let's look at the t dot member expression again. We need to construct. So we need to build a node. Um, is this it? Where's we need to build that node. It wants the callee arguments, callee and arguments. It wants to assert that the callee is of type expression. So the callee is not of type expression. Oh, okay. So it's nothing to do with the arguments that are wrong. Um, oh, of course. I'm an idiot. I got the order the wrong way around. So the first argument should be expression. The second argument, um, expect a type of array. But got object. Okay, what is args? Args. Oh, okay. I needed an array. All right. So this is an array. This is undefined. Why is this undefined? Um, let's look at this node. A node should have. Oh, I see. Node should have node dot arguments. What? That's what I did. Node dot arguments. Oh, I can't do that. Node dot arguments. If I look at why is this undefined? Okay, so hang on. All right, let's chill out a little bit. Args. All right, this thing I need to be an array. Um, uh, here, this thing this thing is an array. By the time I get down here, is not an array. By the time I get down to here, oh, it is an array. Okay, it's down in here. Okay, that's good. Um, so then I call the expression. So the new call expression, I think, passes. So let's console log the new call expression. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so this is something that we've created from scratch with React.useState. Getting there. All right, it really is like this. And I probably should have rehearsed this a little bit, but that's what we get with live streaming. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so hopefully we're close enough. Okay, so now we have a call expression, and what we're trying to do with the path. So look at here. Currently, path.parent path is node is this call expression. So now we are trying to replace this path. And so we are running into some issues over here, and let's fix that issue, and hopefully that will be resolving it. Okay, so it says property arguments expect the type of array, and we have to figure out what that is. Again, okay, so I have an array passing in here. My new call expression has the array as well. But then by the time I get to this bit over here, oh, I see. Ooh. Oh, I see what's going on. I need to skip. Okay, so I see what's going on. Basically, okay. So look here, right? When I end this path, console log successful replacement. When I end this path, the traversal. See, this whole thing actually ends and executes successfully. But the problem is that I insert something which I'm looking for again. So the identifier just loops back on itself, and then everything subsequently gets undefined. So that is what is screwing me up. And so I need hopefully that explanation makes some sense. So now I have a better sense of why the identifier conflict was getting wrong. So I was going through this roundabout process when I didn't have to do any of it. So you know what? Let's do it all over again. I promise I have a better sense of what's going on. But unfortunately, like it is like this to learn Babel. It's kind of not the best documented thing in the world, but you know we'll get there. Okay, so console log, I got this now. Console log path, and this is and so I reset everything, and now we've like explored the problem area, and hopefully like now we're at a better position to do the thing that we need to do. I'm not being the most eloquent right now. So now we build a new member expression, right? And we're literally doing console. Let's make this super clear, okay? Console log. We start here, and then we're gonna console log. We're gonna end here, and you'll see what happens with the looping around of it. So path dot replace with new me. So you see that I start, right? And then I do the replacement, and then I end, and then I loop back and I do this replacement again. So that's the problem. I need to skip the thing that I just inserted. So if I do this, I should be able to end it. Woohoo! Look at that. Okay, does everyone see this? Hopefully, I don't know, like if you all of you probably left. But we just did. Okay, I'm gonna screenshot this. Woohoo! It took me that long. Took took me like 10 hours to get here. But like hopefully like okay, so like it's a science. It's not super well documented, but it's extremely powerful once you get there. Um, and 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 just like if you log everything out, you there's a rhyme and rhythm to how these things work. Anyway, Jesus. I'm sorry that that was so complicated. But now we're on the home stretch, right? We're almost done because now I can sub this in, right? And that's not going to make any changes. And then instead of just a single use state, I can define a set of APIs. So let's define all the APIs. Yes, we should definitely put in more checks. Karajo is right. Um, I'm sort of racing ahead just to have a sense of satisfaction. Use effects, use context, use reducers, whatever, right? Okay. Okay, so and then APIs dot include. Right. So now uh, this thing what includes. Yeah, I always typo that. Now this thing includes. So I can use ref as well, for example. Right. So for example, if I started using ref here, um, my ref equals use ref, it would insert. Whoa. Huh? Why does it not insert any? Oh, okay, it just froze for a bit. So it inserts React dot whatever for the recognized set of strings. Okay, so correct. Let's address Correcto's thing. Would it be better to check if the parent node is the React dot syntax rather than a path dot skip? I'm not exactly sure. Like the reason I skip, right, is because I'm inserting the exact same thing I'm looking for here. So that causes a loop, which causes the errors that we dealt with earlier. So we don't need. I mean, yeah, we probably want to do more checks here, right? So let's extract that logic out to a check if React API, if API, right? And we extract this logic out into as a standalone function, and then we can write more checks here. And this is probably where testing and all that comes into play. We're probably not going to do a comprehensive test, um, but you can see how this is starting to take shape already. Um, Okay, so what are the kind of things that we want to test? We want to test, for example, if I already have a React dot something here, does it you know does it accidentally error? And it does looks like it errors. So then we want to guard against things where people are already using. So for example, if I have some like my library.useref and it's just some other library, that's not very helpful, right, for us to do. So we need to return false for checks like that. So let's look at how I understood use state became. Oh, you deleted your message. All right, I'm gonna wait for you to answer that. But meanwhile, let's write this check. I'm gonna expand my screen for a bit. Okay, so use ref, and then if I'm so let's set up a rule, right? If I'm inside a member expression already, so if my immediate parent is a member expression, then I'm going to call off and return false for this check, so that I don't accidentally return a false positive. Um, let's put this up here. Okay, so if um, check if inside a member expression already, well, return false. If path dot parent I'm sorry, I need to console log this out. console.log I whoa. Okay. So a path dot, okay, so the second one is the one that's problematic, right? The first one has no problems. The second one is the one that has problems. In the second one, the container, oh, right, the type is member expression, right? So here's where we use the prototype API. So is member expression and return false. See that? So again, where I get this member expression from is inside of here. So let's console log this out again. Right, you see this node, and on every path there's a whole array of utility functions, right? And so what I went for is every single sort of node type has an is checker. So I just went for is member expression. So I said parent path.parent path. So if the parent, so if I'm here and my parent is this thing, and if this is a member expression, which it is, right? Return false. If I return false, I don't run the replacement, and therefore I disable it, and I let this slide, which means I can also let this be react.useRef, and that's fine, and that coexists with useState, and only that naked entry is accepted. So yeah, I mean, this is kind of shaping up. Delete the console logs and stuff, but this is kind of shaping up a little bit as well. So what we would need is like a test suite, right, for for edge cases and stuff. But like, it's not too hard. This is probably the hardest part about learning Babel, which is like getting familiar with like error resolving and stuff. Let's actually finish the rest of this, and then I'll check back to see if there are any final questions. But I think we're almost done. Use state, use effect, use context, use reducer, use callback, use memo, use imperative methods. Use mutation effects, and then the final step is basically to publish it into Babel, and then you can use it on your own projects. And this, is a helpful sort of thing to shortcut stuff. So yeah, okay. That's any other questions? Any other questions? Ooh, test. Okay, so it looks like my chat is like dead for some reason. Anyway, but I've got nothing else. That was it. This is meant to be short. It took much longer than it did because I wasn't aware of this like replacement issue. But yeah, thank you. Bye.